In a small, quiet town surrounded by rolling hills, there was a school where children from the neighborhood came to learn. Among them was a young girl, bright-eyed and full of energy, who loved going to school despite one recurring problem that left her upset every day. Her lunch kept disappearing. Every single day, without fail, she would open her lunchbox during break time, only to find it empty. At first, she thought it was a mistake, maybe she had forgotten to pack her lunch. But when it happened again and again, she knew something was wrong. The girl was too shy to speak up. She didn't want to cause trouble or get anyone in trouble. So, she stayed quiet, enduring the hunger and the confusion. Her mother, however, noticed something was off. The girl would come home every afternoon, her energy drained, and she would immediately head to the kitchen to eat. Her mother, a kind and observant woman, began to suspect something wasn't right. One evening, as they sat together at the dinner table, her mother gently asked, "Why do you come home so hungry these days? Don't you eat your lunch at school?" The girl hesitated, her eyes downcast. She didn't want to worry her mother, but the concern in her voice made her open up. "I don't know what happens, Mom. Every day, my lunch is gone. I don't know who takes it, but it's always empty when I open it." Her mother's heart sank. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her daughter had been going hungry at school, and no one had noticed. She felt a mix of anger and sadness but knew she had to handle the situation carefully. The next morning, the mother decided to take matters into her own hands. She packed her daughter's lunch as usual, but this time, she added a little note inside. It wasn't a mean note or an angry one, just a simple message that said, "If you're hungry, please ask. Don't take what isn't yours." She hoped that whoever was taking the lunch would see the note and stop. But when her daughter came home that afternoon, the lunchbox was empty again, and the note was gone. The mother was furious. Someone was deliberately ignoring her plea. That evening, the mother sat down and thought hard about what to do next. She didn't want to confront the school or the teachers without proof, but she also couldn't let this continue. Her daughter's well-being was at stake. She decided to try something different. The next day, she packed the lunchbox with extra care. She made her daughter's favorite sandwich, added some fresh fruit, and even included a small treat. But this time, she also placed a tiny, harmless tracking device inside the lunchbox. It was a small, discreet gadget that would help her figure out where the lunch was going. The day went by slowly for the mother as she waited for her daughter to return. When the girl finally came home, she looked more upset than usual. "Mom, it happened again," she said, her voice trembling. The mother hugged her tightly and reassured her that everything would be okay. She then checked the tracking device on her phone and saw that the signal was coming from inside the school. It hadn't left the building. This confirmed her suspicion. Someone at the school was taking her daughter's lunch. The next morning, the mother decided to visit the school herself. She didn't make a scene or accuse anyone. Instead, she quietly spoke to the principal and explained the situation. The principal was shocked and promised to look into it. Together, they reviewed the security footage from the hallway near the classroom. What they saw left them both stunned. The footage showed one of the teachers, a woman who had always seemed kind and professional, entering the classroom during break time, opening the girl's lunchbox, and taking the food. The mother couldn't believe her eyes. How could a teacher do something like this? The principal was equally horrified. She immediately called the teacher into her office and confronted her with the evidence. At first, the teacher denied it, but when she saw the footage, she broke down. She admitted that she had been taking the girl's lunch for weeks. She claimed she was struggling financially and couldn't afford to buy her own food. While the mother felt a pang of sympathy for the teacher's situation, she couldn't overlook the fact that her daughter had been suffering because of it. The principal assured the mother that the teacher would face consequences for her actions. She also promised to ensure that no child in the school would ever go hungry again. The mother felt a sense of relief but knew she had to do more to protect her daughter. She decided to take matters into her own hands one last time. The next day, she packed 2 lunchboxes, one for her daughter and one for the teacher. She included a note in the teacher's lunchbox that read, "Everyone deserves to eat. If you ever need help, just ask." When the teacher received the lunchbox, she was overcome with guilt and gratitude. She realized the impact of her actions and apologized to the girl and her mother. From that day on, the lunches stopped disappearing, and the teacher sought help for her financial struggles. The mother's act of kindness not only solved the problem but also taught everyone involved a valuable lesson about compassion and understanding. The girl, now free from the worry of her missing lunches, returned to her cheerful self. She no longer dreaded going to school and even started sharing her lunch with friends. The mother, proud of how she had handled the situation, felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had not only protected her daughter but also shown that sometimes, the best revenge is kindness. And so, life in the small town returned to normal, with a little more empathy and a lot more lunch sharing among the students. The days that followed the lunchbox incident were filled with a sense of calm and relief for the young girl and her mother. The girl no longer had to worry about her lunch disappearing, and her mother felt proud of how she had handled the situation with grace and kindness. But the story didn't end there. The mother's act of compassion had sparked a change in the school, one that would ripple through the lives of many. The teacher who had been taking the lunches was deeply affected by the mother's gesture. She had expected anger and punishment, but instead, she was met with understanding and generosity. It was a wake-up call for her. She realized that her actions, born out of desperation, had hurt an innocent child. She decided to take responsibility for her mistakes and make amends. She approached the principal and asked if she could speak to the students during an assembly. The principal, seeing the sincerity in her eyes, agreed. During the assembly, the teacher stood in front of the students, her voice trembling but filled with honesty. She admitted what she had done and apologized to the girl in front of everyone. "I made a mistake," she said, "and I want to say I'm sorry. I let my own struggles cloud my judgment, and I hurt someone because of it. But I've learned that no matter how difficult life gets, we should never take from others. Instead, we should ask for help when we need it." The students listened in silence, some of them wide-eyed with surprise. The girl, sitting in the front row, felt a mix of emotions. She was still hurt by what had happened, but seeing the teacher apologize so openly made her feel a little better. Her mother, who had also been invited to the assembly, gave her a reassuring smile. The teacher's apology was a brave step, and it showed everyone that it's never too late to make things right. After the assembly, the school decided to take action to ensure that no child or staff member would ever go hungry again. The principal, inspired by the mother's kindness, started a new initiative called the Community Care Box. It was a simple idea, a box placed in the school cafeteria where anyone could donate non-perishable food items. Students, teachers, and even parents could take what they needed, no questions asked. The box was always kept stocked, and it became a symbol of trust and support within the school community. The girl's mother played a big role in spreading the word about the community care box. She reached out to other parents and local businesses, asking for donations. The response was overwhelming. People were eager to help, and soon, the box was overflowing with food, snacks, and even small notes of encouragement. The girl, proud of her mother's efforts, started helping out too. She would remind her classmates to bring donations and even helped organize the items in the box. The teacher, too, found a new sense of purpose. She began volunteering her time to help manage the community care box and even started a small workshop on budgeting and financial planning for anyone who needed it. She shared her own story, not as an excuse, but as a lesson. "It's okay to struggle," she would say, "but it's important to reach out for help. There's no shame in asking." As the weeks went by, the atmosphere in the school changed. Students who had once been hesitant to share or ask for help now felt more comfortable. The girl, who had once been the victim of the lunchbox theft, became a symbol of resilience and kindness. She even started a lunch-sharing club, where students could sit together and share their meals. It became one of the most popular activities in the school. The mother, watching all of this unfold, felt a deep sense of fulfillment. What had started as a simple act of protecting her daughter had turned into something much bigger. It had brought the school community closer together and shown everyone the power of empathy and understanding. She realized that sometimes, the smallest actions can create the biggest changes. But even as life at school improved, the mother couldn't shake the feeling that there was still more to be done. She knew that hunger and financial struggles weren't unique to their school. She began to wonder how she could extend the community care box idea to the wider community. With the support of the principal and a group of enthusiastic parents, she started planning a larger initiative, one that would help families beyond the school gates. The success of the community care box at the school inspired the mother to think bigger. She realized that hunger and financial struggles were not limited to the school, they were issues affecting many families in their town. She decided to take her idea to the next level and create a community-wide initiative to help those in need. With the support of the principal, teachers, and other parents, she began organizing a plan to set up similar care boxes in public spaces around the town. The first step was to gather a team of volunteers. The mother reached out to local community groups, churches, and even small businesses. To her surprise, many people were eager to help. They saw the impact the school's care box had made and wanted to be part of something meaningful. Together, they formed a committee and started brainstorming ideas. They decided to call the initiative Neighbors Helping Neighbors, a name that reflected their goal of fostering a sense of unity and support within the community. The committee's first task was to identify locations for the care boxes. They chose busy areas like the town library, the community center, and the local park, places where people of all ages and backgrounds gathered. Next, they designed simple, weatherproof boxes that could hold non-perishable food items, hygiene products, and even small toys or books for children. Each box had a sign that read, "Take what you need, give what you can." It was a message of trust and generosity, reminding everyone that they were part of a caring community. Once the boxes were ready, the committee organized a launch event to spread the word. They invited the entire town to attend, offering free snacks, music, and activities for children. The girl and her classmates even performed a short skit about sharing and kindness, which brought smiles to everyone's faces. The mother stood on a small stage, her heart swelling with pride as she addressed the crowd. "This initiative is about more than just food," she said. "It's about reminding ourselves that we're all in this together. When we help each other, we make our community stronger." The event was a huge success. By the end of the day, the care boxes were filled to the brim with donations from generous townspeople. Over the following weeks, the boxes became a regular part of life in the town. People would drop off items they no longer needed or pick up something they couldn't afford. The boxes were never locked or monitored, they relied entirely on the honesty and goodwill of the community. And, to everyone's delight, the system worked. The boxes were always being replenished, and those who needed help felt less alone. The mother's efforts didn't go unnoticed. Local newspapers and even a regional TV station picked up the story, highlighting the town's inspiring initiative. People from neighboring communities began reaching out, asking how they could start similar programs in their own areas. The mother was happy to share her experience and advice, but she always emphasized one thing: it's not about the boxes or the donations. It's about the people. When we care for each other, we create something truly special. As the months went by, the Neighbors Helping Neighbors initiative continued to grow. The mother, once just a concerned parent trying to solve a small problem, had become a leader in her community. But she never forgot where it all began, with her daughter's missing lunch and a simple act of kindness. That experience had taught her the power of empathy and the importance of taking action, no matter how small it might seem. The Neighbors Helping Neighbors initiative had become a cornerstone of the town's identity, but the mother knew there was still more work to be done. While the care boxes were helping many families, she wanted to address the root causes of hunger and financial struggles in the community. She began researching ways to provide long-term solutions, such as job training programs, financial literacy workshops, and partnerships with local farms to provide fresh produce to those in need. One day, while discussing her ideas with the committee, she had a breakthrough. "What if we create a community center?" she suggested. "A place where people can not only access food and resources but also learn new skills, connect with others, and find support." The idea was ambitious, but the committee loved it. They decided to start small by organizing weekly workshops at the school, covering topics like budgeting, cooking on a tight budget, and resume building. The response was overwhelming. Families from all over the town began attending, eager to learn and improve their lives. The mother also reached out to local farmers and businesses, asking if they would be willing to donate fresh produce or offer discounts to families in need. To her delight, many agreed. Soon, the school started hosting a monthly community market, where families could pick up fresh fruits, vegetables, and other essentials for free or at a reduced cost. The market became a bustling hub of activity, filled with laughter, conversation, and a sense of hope. As the initiatives grew, so did the mother's reputation in the town. People admired her determination and compassion, and many began to see her as a leader. But she never sought recognition for herself. For her, it was always about helping others and creating a community where no one had to struggle alone. Her daughter, now a confident and empathetic young girl, was her biggest supporter. She often helped out at the workshops and markets, proudly telling anyone who would listen, "My mom started all of this." One evening, as the mother and daughter sat together after a long day of organizing the community market, the girl asked, "Mom, do you think we'll ever run out of ideas to help people?" The mother smiled and hugged her tightly. "There will always be new challenges," she said, "but as long as we care about each other, we'll find ways to overcome them. Helping others isn't about having all the answers, it's about being willing to try." The mother's words stayed with the girl, shaping her outlook on life. She began to see the world not as a place of scarcity but as a place of possibility. At school, she started a kindness club, where students could brainstorm ways to help their peers and the community. The club quickly gained popularity, and soon, students from other schools were reaching out to learn how they could start their own chapters. Meanwhile, the mother's dream of a community center was slowly becoming a reality. With the help of grants, donations, and countless volunteer hours, the town broke ground on a new building that would serve as a hub for all their initiatives. It was a proud moment for everyone involved, but especially for the mother. She stood at the construction site, her daughter by her side, and felt a deep sense of gratitude. What had started as a simple act of kindness had grown into something far greater than she could have imagined. As the sun set over the town, the mother and daughter walked home together, their hearts full. They knew there would always be challenges ahead, but they also knew they had the strength and support of their community to face them. Together, they had proven that even the smallest acts of kindness could create a ripple effect, changing lives and bringing people closer. The construction of the community center became a symbol of hope and unity for the town. Everyone pitched in, students, parents, local businesses, and even retirees who wanted to contribute their time and skills. The mother often visited the site, watching as the building slowly took shape. It was more than just a structure, it was a testament to what people could achieve when they worked together. One Saturday, the town organized a Community Build Day, where volunteers gathered to help with painting, landscaping, and assembling furniture. The mother and her daughter were there, wearing matching t-shirts and working side by side. The girl, now a little older but still full of energy, proudly carried buckets of paint and helped plant flowers in the garden. She loved being part of something so meaningful and often told her friends, "This is going to be the best place in town." As the community center neared completion, the mother and the committee began planning its grand opening. They wanted it to be a celebration of everything the town had accomplished together. They decided to host a weekend-long event with food, music, and activities for all ages. Local musicians volunteered to perform, and businesses donated supplies and prizes for a raffle. The excitement in the air was palpable, and everyone counted down the days until the big opening. Finally, the day arrived. The community center stood tall and welcoming, its doors wide open to the town. A large banner hung above the entrance, reading, "Welcome to your community center, built by neighbors, for neighbors." The mother stood at the podium, her heart racing as she looked out at the crowd. She saw familiar faces, teachers, students, parents, and friends, all gathered to celebrate this momentous occasion. "This center is more than just a building," she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "It's a reminder of what we can achieve when we come together. It's a place where everyone is welcome, where no one has to face their struggles alone. This is your center, and it's here because of you." The crowd erupted into applause, and the mother felt tears welling up in her eyes. She had never imagined that her journey would lead to this moment, but she was grateful for every step along the way. The weekend was a whirlwind of laughter, music, and joy. Families explored the center's facilities, which included a food pantry, a learning lab, a cozy lounge area, and even a small stage for performances. Children ran around the garden, playing games and enjoying the sunshine. The mother watched it all with a sense of pride and fulfillment. She knew the center would be a lifeline for many, a place where people could find help, hope, and connection. In the weeks that followed, the community center became a bustling hub of activity. The mother and her team organized daily programs, from cooking classes to job training workshops. Local volunteers offered tutoring for students, and a group of retirees started a storytelling hour for children. The food pantry was always stocked, thanks to ongoing donations from the town and nearby farms. The center was more than just a resource, it was a home away from home for many. The mother's daughter continued to play an active role, often helping out after school and on weekends. She loved seeing the impact the center had on people's lives. One day, as she helped organize donations in the pantry, she turned to her mother and said, "I'm so proud of you, Mom. You've changed so many lives." The mother smiled and hugged her tightly. "We did this together," she replied. "And we're just getting started." As the mother looked around the center, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. What had started as a simple act of kindness had grown into a movement that touched countless lives. She knew there would always be challenges ahead, but she also knew that the town was stronger together. And with that strength, they could face anything. The community center quickly became the heart of the town, a place where people of all ages and backgrounds could come together. It wasn't just a building, it was a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of unity. The mother, now a respected figure in the community, continued to lead with humility and determination. She knew the center was just the beginning, and she was determined to keep finding ways to make a difference. One of the most popular programs at the center was the Skills for Life workshop series. Local professionals volunteered their time to teach everything from basic computer skills to home repair and financial planning. The workshops were always packed, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. People felt empowered to take control of their lives, and many found new jobs or started small businesses thanks to the skills they learned. The mother also noticed that the center was becoming a safe space for teenagers. A group of high school students had started a peer support group, where they could talk about their struggles and offer each other advice. The mother's daughter, now in middle school, was one of the group's most enthusiastic members. She loved being able to help her peers and often came home with stories about the conversations they'd had. "It's amazing how much people open up when they feel safe," she told her mother one evening. "I think we're really making a difference." The mother couldn't have been prouder. She saw her daughter growing into a compassionate and confident young person, and it filled her heart with joy. But she also knew that the work they were doing at the center was far from over. There were still families in the town who were struggling, and she was determined to reach them. One day, while organizing donations at the food pantry, the mother had an idea. "What if we started a mobile version of the community center?" she asked the committee. "A van or bus that could bring food, supplies, and resources to people who can't make it here." The committee loved the idea, and they immediately began planning. They reached out to local businesses for donations and found a used van that could be refurbished. Within a few weeks, the Neighbors on the Move initiative was born. The van made its first trip to a nearby neighborhood where many families lived without reliable transportation. The mother and a team of volunteers set up a small pop-up station with food, hygiene products, and information about the center's programs. The response was incredible. Families who had felt isolated and forgotten now had access to the help they needed. The mother watched as children picked out fresh fruit and parents signed up for workshops, and she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. As the months went by, the Neighbors on the Move van became a regular sight in the town. It visited different neighborhoods each week, bringing not just resources but also a sense of connection. The mother often joined the trips, chatting with families and listening to their stories. She loved seeing the smiles on people's faces and knowing that they felt seen and supported. But the mother's work didn't stop there. She continued to dream up new ways to help the community. She started a mentorship program, pairing local professionals with young people who needed guidance. She organized a town-wide Day of Kindness, where everyone was encouraged to perform small acts of generosity. And she even began working with neighboring towns to help them start their own community initiatives. Through it all, the mother remained grounded and focused on what mattered most, the people. She never forgot the lesson she had learned from her daughter's missing lunch, that even the smallest acts of kindness could have a profound impact. And as she looked around at the thriving community center, the bustling workshops, and the smiling faces of her neighbors, she knew that they were proof of that truth. The Neighbors on the Move van became a lifeline for many families in the town, especially those in remote or underserved areas. The mother and her team of volunteers worked tirelessly to ensure that no one was left behind. Each week, they packed the van with fresh produce, canned goods, hygiene products, and even books and toys for children. They also brought along laptops and tablets, offering on-the-spot help with job applications, school assignments, and accessing online resources. One of the van's regular stops was a small neighborhood on the outskirts of town, where many families lived in modest homes and struggled to make ends meet. The mother had a special connection to this area because it reminded her of her own childhood. She often shared stories with her daughter about growing up in a similar neighborhood and how small acts of kindness had made a big difference in her life. "That's why we do this," she would say. "Because everyone deserves a little help sometimes." During one of their visits, the mother met an elderly woman who had been living alone since her husband passed away. The woman, frail but full of spirit, welcomed the volunteers with a warm smile. She told them how much she appreciated the food and supplies but admitted that what she missed most was companionship. "It gets lonely," she said softly. "Sometimes, I just want someone to talk to." The mother was deeply moved by the woman's words. She realized that while the van was providing essential resources, it could also be a source of connection and friendship. She decided to start a Friendly Visits program, where volunteers would spend time with elderly or isolated residents, sharing stories, playing games, or simply listening. The program quickly gained traction, and soon, the van was not just delivering supplies but also bringing smiles and laughter to those who needed it most. Meanwhile, the community center continued to thrive. The mother's daughter, now a teenager, had taken on a leadership role in the youth programs. She helped organize events, mentored younger children, and even started a podcast where she interviewed community members about their experiences and ideas. Her passion for helping others was infectious, and she inspired many of her peers to get involved. One day, the daughter came home with an idea of her own. "What if we create a community garden at the center?" she suggested. "We could grow fresh vegetables and herbs, and people could take what they need. It would also be a great way to bring everyone together." The mother loved the idea and immediately brought it to the committee. With their support, the garden project was launched, and it quickly became one of the center's most beloved features. Families worked side by side, planting seeds, watering plants, and harvesting vegetables. Children learned about gardening and nutrition, and everyone enjoyed the fruits of their labor. The garden not only provided fresh produce but also became a symbol of growth and renewal. It reminded the community that even in difficult times, there was always the potential for something beautiful to bloom. As the mother watched her daughter take the lead on the garden project, she felt a deep sense of pride. She realized that the values she had instilled in her daughter, compassion, resilience, and a commitment to helping others, were now being passed on to a new generation. It was a powerful reminder that the work they were doing would have a lasting impact. But the mother also knew that there were still challenges ahead. The town was growing, and with growth came new needs and complexities. She began to think about how the community center could evolve to meet those needs. She dreamed of expanding the building, adding more programs, and finding ways to reach even more people. It was a daunting task, but she was determined to see it through. As she stood in the community garden one evening, watching the sun set over the town, the mother felt a deep sense of gratitude. She thought about how far they had come and how much they had accomplished together. But most of all, she thought about the people, the families, the volunteers, the children, and the elderly, who had made it all possible. They were the heart of the community, and they were the reason she would never stop trying to make a difference. The community garden at the center flourished, becoming a vibrant symbol of the town's unity and resilience. Families gathered there regularly, not just to tend to the plants but to connect with one another. The mother often joined them, her hands in the soil and her heart full of gratitude. She loved seeing how the garden brought people together, creating a sense of belonging and shared purpose. One afternoon, as she was helping a group of children plant sunflower seeds, the mother noticed a man standing at the edge of the garden, watching quietly. He looked hesitant, as if he wasn't sure whether he belonged. The mother walked over and introduced herself with a warm smile. "Hi, I'm one of the volunteers here. Are you interested in joining us?" The man hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I've been out of work for a while," he said quietly. "I heard about the center and thought maybe I could find some help here." The mother nodded, her heart going out to him. "You've come to the right place," she said. "We have workshops, job training programs, and even a food pantry if you need it. Let me show you around." As they walked through the center, the man's eyes widened with surprise. He hadn't expected such a welcoming and well-organized space. The mother introduced him to the team running the job training program, and he signed up for a workshop on resume building and interview skills. Before he left, he turned to the mother and said, "Thank you. I didn't know places like this still existed." The man's words stayed with the mother long after he left. They reminded her of why she had started this journey in the first place, to create a place where people could find help, hope, and connection. She knew there were still many others like him in the town, people who were struggling but didn't know where to turn. She was determined to reach them. The mother decided to expand the center's outreach efforts. She worked with the committee to organize a town-wide awareness campaign, using flyers, social media, and even local radio to spread the word about the center's programs. She also partnered with schools, churches, and community groups to ensure that everyone knew about the resources available to them. The campaign was a success. More and more people began visiting the center, and the mother was thrilled to see the impact it was having. Families were finding jobs, students were getting tutoring, and seniors were making new friends. The center had become a true hub of support and connection, and the mother felt a deep sense of fulfillment. But as the center grew, so did the challenges. The demand for resources and programs was higher than ever, and the mother knew they needed more space and funding to keep up. She began applying for grants and reaching out to local businesses and philanthropists for support. It was a daunting task, but she was determined to secure the future of the center. One day, while reviewing grant applications, the mother received a surprising phone call. It was from a representative of a national foundation that supported community initiatives. They had heard about the center's work and wanted to offer a substantial grant to help expand its programs. The mother was speechless. This was the breakthrough they had been hoping for. With the grant, the center was able to add new classrooms, hire additional staff, and expand its food pantry. The mother also used some of the funds to create a scholarship program for local students, ensuring that financial barriers wouldn't stand in the way of their dreams. The town celebrated the center's growth, and the mother felt a deep sense of pride in what they had accomplished together. But even as the center thrived, the mother never lost sight of the people at the heart of it all. She continued to spend time in the garden, chat with visitors, and listen to their stories. She knew that the center's success wasn't just about the programs or the building, it was about the people who made it all possible. As she stood in the garden one evening, watching the sun set over the town, the mother felt a deep sense of gratitude. She thought about how far they had come and how much they had accomplished together. But most of all, she thought about the people, the families, the volunteers, the children, and the elderly, who had made it all possible. They were the heart of the community, and they were the reason she would never stop trying to make a difference. The community center had become a beacon of hope, not just for the town but for the surrounding areas as well. People from neighboring communities began visiting, inspired by the programs and the sense of unity it fostered. The mother, now a well-known figure, continued to lead with humility and determination. She often reminded herself and others that the center's success was a collective effort, a testament to what could be achieved when people came together. One day, the mother received an invitation to speak at a regional conference on community development. She was nervous but excited to share their story. Standing on the stage, she looked out at the audience and began to speak. "Our journey started with a simple act of kindness," she said. "A lunchbox, a note, and a desire to make a difference. But it grew into something much bigger because of the people who believed in it. This is the power of community. When we care for each other, we can overcome any challenge." Her speech resonated deeply with the audience, and many approached her afterward to learn how they could replicate the center's success in their own communities. The mother was happy to share her experiences and advice, but she always emphasized one thing: it's not about the programs or the building. It's about the people. When you focus on their needs and dreams, everything else falls into place. Back in the town, the center continued to thrive. The mother's daughter, now a high school student, had taken on an even larger role. She organized a youth leadership program, teaching younger students how to plan and run community projects. Her passion and dedication inspired everyone around her, and she often joked that she was following in her mother's footsteps. "But I'm adding my own twist," she would say with a grin. The mother couldn't have been prouder. She saw her daughter growing into a confident, compassionate leader, and it filled her heart with joy. But she also knew that the work they were doing was far from over. There were still families in need, still challenges to address, and still dreams to fulfill. She was determined to keep pushing forward, one step at a time. One evening, as the mother and daughter sat together in the community garden, the girl turned to her and said, "Mom, do you ever think about how different things could have been? If you hadn't done something about my missing lunch, none of this would have happened." The mother smiled and put an arm around her daughter. "I think about it all the time," she said. "But what I've learned is that every small action matters. You never know how far it will go or how many lives it will touch. That's why we have to keep trying, even when it feels hard." The daughter nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "I want to keep making a difference, just like you," she said. The mother hugged her tightly, feeling a deep sense of pride and hope. She knew that the future of the community was in good hands. As the years went by, the center continued to grow and evolve. It became a model for other communities, a place where people could find help, hope, and connection. The mother remained at the heart of it all, guiding and inspiring others with her kindness and vision. But she never forgot where it all began, with a simple act of kindness and a belief in the power of community. And so, life in the town went on, filled with laughter, love, and the knowledge that they were stronger together. The mother's journey had shown everyone that even the smallest actions could create a ripple effect, changing lives and bringing people closer. It was a lesson they would carry with them always, a reminder that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they could face them together.